Friends are the family we choose. And like Jenny Kim said, money cannot buy no real friends. I love my friends. I really do. They are one of the most important, not one of, they are the most important people in my life after my family. And I am grateful to know them, to have met them. And I believe that God orchestrated a way for us to cross paths in this life. I very much believe that. What I also believe is you have to put in the work to maintain a friendship, which is very true. And since money can't buy real friends, what you actually have to do to be good at friendships and to maintain that relationship, you have to be selfless in everything. So here are a few things you need to know to be better at friendships and to have wonderful relationships with your friends. I would say one of the most important things when it comes to friendships is knowing who your friends are and who your acquaintances are, because they are two very different people. This particular episode is gonna sound a bit of a chat, but it's going to be a good one. So you have to know who your friends are and who your acquaintances are. And it's easy to say the word friend for every person you come across. You met someone yesterday and who's that? Like, oh, that's just a friend I met. But they could literally be an acquaintance because you haven't known them that long enough to really be considered your friend. When I read the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, there was a chapter that talked about friendships, and she said it takes at least 40 hours to become friends with a person. So someone you meet today can't necessarily be your friend. They're more of an acquaintance. It takes a bit of time to get to friendship. And knowing the difference between an acquaintance and a friend was something that I struggled with when I was younger, because I had a lot of people in my life, from school to church to the community. And if you ask me, I'll say, oh, they're all my friends. But I remember there was a birthday that I had, and I was told to call out 8 of my friends. And I couldn't pick one person from the crowd that I wanted to actually call out. Everybody was my friend, but I had no friend within everybody. So that was a lesson that I had to learn. Everybody can be an acquaintance, but not everybody is a friend. And I know there are some of you out there are struggling with this, and I just want you to sit down and ask yourself, if I received the best news today, or if I received the worst news today, who are the first 5 people that my brain would say call them? They will understand. Those are your friends. That's how I think about it. I think about it in the simplest way. If I was so happy right now and I wanted to call somebody to share that, who would I call? And the first 5 to 10 names that pop up in my head, those are my very close friends. A good number of people may pop up in your head and they may not be as close as you may want them to be, but I personally believe that when you think of someone in your best moments or in your worst moments or in your in-between moments and you just want to hear their voice or talk to them or laugh with them, that person is your friend. You've heard it before, I've heard it before. Communication is one of the most important aspects of any relationship that you are trying to build or maintain. And communication is not the easiest thing in the book. Everybody wants their mind to be read and for their thoughts to be understood by the person beside them without having to say a word. If you don't, I definitely do. Sometimes when I'm at home, I wonder why I don't have the power of mind sharing or telekinesis with someone around me, because I just want to think a thought and have my friend know what I'm thinking. It is a very real struggle, I have to say. But I will also say that you have to communicate with your friends. Communication is 90% of any relationship at all, be it friendships, be it marital relationships, dating, family, enemies too. Communication is 90% of the relationship. You have to talk, and you have to talk out loud more than half of the time, because nobody's a mind reader, in as much as we all want them to be mind readers, or we all want to be mind readers in our own way. I will say that communication is the key to any great relationship. And it's a bit difficult because there are some things you honestly don't want to say out loud, but you want the other party to understand what you're trying to say or to explain. I do have to say that saying it out loud is not the end of the world. I'm a person that does not believe that a problem shared is a problem half solved. mainly because of how I grew up. Where I grew up, a problem shared was usually a problem increased by twofold. When I tell someone a problem that I'm passing through, that person tends to tell the next five people around them, and then the next five people are coming to me with, why do you have this problem? Or the next five people go and share it to 10 more people. So a problem shared for me is not a problem half solved, it's half increased. But I have seen scenarios as I've grown up now on where a problem shared is a problem half solved. So I understand the code better. But back then, I didn't, and I still am quite skeptical about it when you say problem shared is problem half solved. But I still share my problems with my friends. If nothing, I just want them to listen and to hear my point of view, understand how I'm reasoning it. And the good thing about communicating is you get to hear a different opinion. You get to see it how you wouldn't have thought of seeing it, which really helps to put things into perspective when you're trying to solve a problem. And then sometimes it's just really fun to talk to your friends. The best friendships are the ones where communication is a very big part of it. So communicate with your friends. Communication is key, always. All good friendship bask in tolerance. You have to be tolerant. Tolerance was a very big lesson I personally had to learn when it came to friendships, because we all have flaws. Yeah, we all are human. You're human, I'm human, and I'm your friend. We're going to mess up, we're going to flop, we're going to do great sometimes, and we're going to do horrid sometimes. For me personally, tolerance was not so hard of a lesson, partly because I still may be a very big people pleaser. I'm better now. I've cut it down by 60%. The remaining 40 is a struggle, but we're getting there. I was a very big people pleaser, a very big one, a very, very big one. So I tend to accept people for their flaws just because I wanted them to be comfortable around me, not to like me necessarily. I really didn't care if you liked me or not when I was younger, but I did want people to be comfortable around me and not run away. So if you come with your flaws and whatnot, I'll say, sure, have a seat. Sit, let's talk. I don't want to use the word understanding because I personally feel tolerance is a much better word. You just have to be tolerable of your friends. They're going to mess up. You have to understand that. They're going to flop at times. You have to understand that. They're going to do great sometimes, which is true. They're going to do bad sometimes. And in all this, when you make a friend with a person, you're telling them, I am accepting you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, or the worst for most of it. So you have to be tolerant of it. I'm not saying minimize yourself or make yourself smaller so they can shine. I'm also not saying tolerate bad behavior. I'm saying when something happens that doesn't align with your point of view or how you normally do things, you need to understand that there are different people from you. So you have to be tolerable. And in line with that, you also have to accept their differences completely. You have to accept that they are not you. If you grew up in two different neighborhoods, they didn't grow up the same way you did. So there are actions that they would take that would be different from yours. There are ways that they would do things that you would wonder, why you're not doing it this way? This is how I do mine. Why are you doing yours the other way? And of course, two ways can be right and one way can also be wrong. But you have to accept that they are very different from you. And that is just the way it is. In my friend group, we are 6 very different people. We grew up in different neighborhoods, we grew up in different communities, we grew up with differences in the way we reason, in the way we understand, in the way we tolerate. We're very different people. Sure, we have some similarities and we have some mutuals within us, but on the long scale, or if you look at it very comprehensively, we are 6 very different people. And to a great extent, we understand that we are 6 very different people. We aren't trying to change another person to be more like us. So we aren't trying to change each other to be more like a certain person. We are 6 different people, and that is fine. We are different. We have different ages, different skin colors, different heights, different intellectuals, different ways of seeing the world. Some of us are empaths, some of us are logical, and that is fine, really. You have to understand that your friends are different. We all have differences, and that is a very normal thing. When you sit down and think, can I really be friends with this person? You should think, can I accept their differences? Because that is the major thing. Nobody is like you. There is no two of you in the world. You're just one. So everybody else is different. So you have to learn to accept differences or the differences of people to be better at relationships. A very big one when it comes to being better at relationships is mutual respect. Every relationship is based on a level of respect. You respect your parents, you respect people older than you respect people with knowledge or people with certain value sets. You also have to respect your friends. You have to give them the respect they deserve. If they say no to something, I need you to take their no with grace and say, okay, you said no. I need you to give that mutual respect, the respect that you would expect from a stranger. I need you to give the same level of respect to your friend. It is an honest game changer when it comes to friendships. A lot of friendships today are broken down by the fact of lack of respect or loss of respect. And it's easy to say, I thought he was like this, but he isn't like that, and I don't think I respect him anymore. Which is why I emphasize on accepting differences. You have to accept people's differences if you want to truly become friends with them. And then mutual respect plays a very big role in just making the whole thing bond together. You can't be friends with someone that you don't respect. To a certain degree, you cannot. You cannot have a relationship with someone that you don't respect. You would simply think of them as clowns or comedians or the enemy, and really, it's not that deep at all. When your friend says no, and you just take the no with grace. This is a very major point I'm emphasizing, and I've said it before, but I just want to say it again. When your friend says no, take their no with grace. It doesn't mean they hate you, it doesn't mean they dislike you. It just means it's a no for them. And the same way you would want a friend to accept your no when you give it to them, it's the same way you have to accept theirs. So mutual respect. I respect you, you respect me. In my group of friends, we have a certain level of respect. It's something that I think of randomly. I have respect for all of them. I have respect for where they are in their jobs, how they're thriving in life. I have respect for who they are as people, regardless of whatever value system they've added onto them as people themselves. I have a very big respect level. Well, I have a lot of respect for them, and in the same way, they have a good lot of respect for me. I personally believe that if your friend doesn't respect you, you will know. You will know in the way they treat you, in the way they discuss with you. No is a very big word. It's a statement, it's a word, it's a complete sentence. So mutual respect, very important. You have to give the people the respect they deserve. I'm not saying bow down to them or curtsy to them, but the same level of respect you'd expect from a stranger meeting you the first time. The same way you want your no's to be understood and heard as complete sentences. I need you to give that same level of respect to your friends. It's a done deal. This episode will not be complete if I didn't make a point on perspectives or points of views in regards to friendships, because I really do love a good perspective. Understanding your friend's point of view or perspective can be challenging, but it's also one of the things that make for better friendships. You do not have to agree with it, but you do have to understand where they're coming from. You have to understand their perspective, how they view things. It's one of the reasons why I understand why Mel Robbins classifies friendships based on the number of hours you spend with someone. Because if I spend over 200 hours with you, I should have a very good understanding of your point of view, regardless of where it comes from or how I feel about it. I may not agree with your point of view, and honestly, I think that's a good thing, because banter makes a relationship or a friendship very, very fun. But I will understand where you're coming from. I will understand why you think in that particular direction, and it just makes me see you better as a person. For me personally, understanding your friend's point of view isn't equals to agreeing with your friend's point of view, but it makes you more aware. I don't want to use the word, no, not self-aware. It makes you more understanding of them as a whole person, because this is how they think, this is how they reason, this is their intellect. So understanding your friend's point of view, your friend's perspective, why do they think this way, how many views do they look at it from, makes you a better friend, because it gives you more patience. It also grows your tolerance level, because if you understand where they're coming from, you can say, I understand why you would do this. However, and you go on. But you're still tolerant of them because you understand where they're coming from, you understand their perspective, their points of views. And I think that is a very wonderful thing to, you know when you're talking to your friends. Being a friend means to be present, to be there for your person, or to be there for someone who's depending on you or counting on you. I honestly love my friends, and I work very hard to be the best version of myself for them and me, because why not? If you need a reason to do anything, do it for yourself. But people around you are also great motivating factors to be the greatest person you can ever be. I want to be better for myself. I also want to be better for my family. I also want to be better for my friends. Because when we are all growing together and we are all achieving together, it just makes the world a very much better place. The thing with working to be the best version of yourself is you can get a little busy. Your schedules can be packed and be full. And sometimes we forget that there are people standing by cheering us on, and it's quite difficult to be present at certain moments in time. I do want to say that to be a better friend, you have to be present in your friend's life. You have to call them once in a while or once a week. I do this once a week call to my friends. It's beautiful, it's wonderful. We talk on the phone for over an hour. I tell them things that has been going on recently in my life. They tell me things that have been going on recently in their life. We talk, we argue, we banter, we laugh. It's wonderful. You have to be present in your friend's life. You just gotta do. Even if it's once a month, once in 3 weeks, once in 2 weeks, I would say call them, text them. It doesn't take 10 minutes to send a text. It literally takes 45 seconds or a minute at most to type a text and say hello. So therefore, be present in your friend's life. They will love it for you. They will love you for it also. It is quite a bit difficult to be present as you grow older. Currently in my 20s, and it's becoming a tight bit of a packed schedule to find some squeezing talk time there, but I do have to say that it is one of the most wonderful things that you can ever do, to be a great friend to someone, being present for them in their good, in their bad, in their in-betweens. I think the good and the bad is quite normal when it comes to being present in your friend's life, because when they have good news, they'd want to share it with you. When they have bad news, they also want to share with you. But the in-betweens, that's where some of us miss the mark. And there is no mark, mind you. So that's where some of us just floats. We wait for good news or for bad news. And I will say that the in-betweens are one of the most important parts of friendships, because this is the everyday that they are living and you're a part of it. So be a bigger part of it too. And be the best version of yourself for your friends. I'll see you next week on Tiny Chair Talk. Bye bye.